Thank you, dear friend, to watch this video. It's number 1186. It's from Ezekiel chapter 23. In verse 5, from verse 5, we read the following. Just get my magnifying glass. It says, Oholah was Samaria, played the harlot, even though she was mine. That's God saying that. She should worship God, who done miracles for them, taken them from Egypt and helping them to walk in the desert for 40 years. And he put clouds on their heads to protect them from the sun. And he guided them with a column of fire to lead them to the way. Here he says, Oholah, which is Samaria, played the harlot, even though she was mine. And she lusted for her lovers, the neighboring Assyrians. So, lusting to worship idols. What we see in our days now. We got the Bible. We got God talking to us in the Bible. I don't need to say, God talked to me. God filled heaven and earth, but I don't need that. It means God talked to me through the Bible. He sent his word. What I need for my salvation is in the word of God, And any version of the Bible you have in your hand is talking about redemption, and salvation for the sinners. Right. He continued in 6, who were clothed in purple, captains and rulers. All of them desired a desirable young men, horsemen riding on horses. So she was committing adultery with these people. It doesn't mean like physically, but she was worshipping at the top level with leaders, with kings she was worshipping. Thus, she committed her harlotry with them. All of them choice men of Assyria, like big men, like elite of Assyria, and with all of whom she lusted. With all their idols, she defiled herself. Because she is supposed to dedicate her life to God. She has never given up her harlotry. Never give up. She was enjoying it. Brought from Egypt. From Egypt she remember, in Egypt she was worshipping idols. For in her youth they had lain with her, pressed her virgin bosom. It doesn't mean God just tried to show the disgust, of her behavior. That's all. It's a spiritual worship. And poured out their immorality upon her. And she was happy to follow them. In verse 9, therefore I have delivered her into the hand of her lovers. He's going to judge her. Into the hand of the Assyrians, for whom she lusted. All right. Is that what you want? I will bring the Assyrians to Jerusalem and destroy. They uncovered her nakedness, took away her sons and daughters, and slew her with the sword. She became a byword among women, for they had executed judgment on her. So finally, God judged her. The problem started from 1 King chapter 12. You know, after Solomon, the King Solomon, in chapter 1 King chapter 11, we read from verse 1, but King Solomon loved many foreign women. That wise man, he fell into adultery, spiritual adultery, as well as the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabite, Ammonite, Edomite, Sidonites, and Hittites, from everywhere, from the nations of whom the Lord had said to the children of Israel, you shall not intermarry with them, nor they with you, for surely they will turn away your hearts after their God. Solomon clung to them in love. Of course, loved their idols as well, not just the women. So his kingdom collapsed for that reason. And then one of his enemies, it's a long story, in 1 King chapter 12, 26, one of his enemies succeeded to get the position of being a king of Israel, the 10 tribes, the northern kingdom. At 12, verse 26, and Jeroboam said in his heart, after he became king, he was so deviant from God. He said to himself, look what he said in his heart. Now the kingdom may return to the house of David. Oh, so he's worried because he knows God blessed all Judah's kings, and the kingdom may go bad. Because also don't forget that Rehoboam, which is the son of Solomon, he was a king. At the same time, he was a king of Judah. So he said, if these people go up to offer sacrifices in the house of the Lord in Jerusalem, then the heart of these people will turn back to their Lord, Rehoboam, king of Judah, and they will kill me and go back to Rehoboam, king of Judah. He was thinking that way. So what he done? Verse 28. Therefore the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold, and said to the people, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Like he felt sorry for them, you know. Why going to Jerusalem to worship? Here are your gods, O Israel, which brought you up from the hand of Egypt, the calf. Haven't they, when Moses was receiving the 10 Commandments and he delayed, haven't they said to Aaron, make us a calf, a golden calf to worship? And he was very angry and he made them one. He collected all the gold and he made them a calf. And they started to worship the calf and said, you brought us from Egypt. Can you believe it? After all that miracles, God made God just create a road in the ocean for them to pass. And he set up one in Bethel, like the house of God, and other he put in Dan. Now these things became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one as far as Dan. And that's what he wanted. And that's what caused Samaria and Jerusalem to commit adultery. This is what happened. So here we see that uh, in this video, it shows us the adultery of Samaria and Jerusalem, Oholah and Oholibah. Jerusalem means my tent was there. You know, that's probably God, like said, my tent is in Jerusalem, in Zion. Oholah means her tent is special. Now here, the Samaria started to worship idols, and Jerusalem followed her. This thing also we can read a lot in Ezekiel. We read Ezekiel 16, verse 46. Ezekiel 16, verse 46. Your elder sister is Samaria, who dwells with her daughters to the north of you. You know, Samaria was the northern kingdom of which is Israel. And your younger sister, who dwells to the south of you, is Sodom and her daughters. So he called the younger sisters who dwells to the south of Samaria. He didn't call her Jerusalem here. It's Sodom. Sodom. Imagine he called Jerusalem Sodom and her sisters, all the cities that worship idols. And if we read in Ezekiel 20, verse 8, we read, but they rebelled against me and would not obey me. They did not all cast away the abominations which were before their eyes, nor did they forsake the idols of Egypt. Then I said, I will pour out my fury on them and fulfill my anger against them in the midst of the land of Egypt. But in verse 9 he said, but I acted for my name's sake, that it should not be profaned before the Gentiles, among whom they were, in whose sight I had made myself known to them, to bring them out of the land of Egypt. Therefore I made them go out of the land of Egypt and brought them into the wilderness. So God, because of his name, which called upon them, he saved them. And I gave them my statutes, I gave them the commandments, and showed them my judgment, which if a man does, he shall live by them. You know, we can read a lot about that. And in Joshua verse chapter 24, Joshua, which is after Deuteronomy, Joshua after Deuteronomy, it's Joshua 24. We read in verse 14. In verse 14, right. Now therefore Joshua said to the people, after he distributed all the land to them, most of them, now therefore fear the Lord, serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your father served on the other side of the river and in Egypt. Serve the Lord. He said, leave these gods, the false god. Serve the Lord. Okay. And they promised, but they failed. But I look now at, the people, Christian people inherit the name of Christians. Yes, they don't worship idols. They're not paganic. But they believe in mediators. I pray to the saints to help me asking God for me for certainty. Doesn't work. It made God angry, like exactly as he was angry with Samaria and Jerusalem. Jesus said, I and my Father still working. Jesus said to the disciples, you never asked me for anything yet. Ask me. Why should I ask the dead? If Jesus is alive with me. Thank you.